The alert tone snapped Ryan Vance from his trance-like focus, scattering the dense cascade of mineral readings he had been reviewing for the last 3 hours. The faint glow of his mining vessel's interior bathed him in cold light, contrasting the tension building in his chest. With a weary swipe, he called up the proximity readout. Unidentified object has entered scan range. The ship's AI stated flatly. Coordinates, Ryan said, rubbing his eyes. A green pulse expanded on the holographic display. Coordinates streamed. Across the screen in rapid succession, 41803 Zeta, 971.2. Ryan's stomach twisted as he magnified the scan. Computer-enhanced trajectory projection. The hologram shifted, revealing a colossal object, jagged, spinning slowly end over end. Its mass eclipsed everything else on his sensor grid. Classification, asteroid. Diameter, 1.8 kilometers. The AI confirmed. Ryan stared. That thing was enormous. Collision probability with Karen colony on Halion 4, 93.4%, the AI answered. Impact estimated in 47 hours, 16 minutes. His breath caught. Halion 4 wasn't just a random settlement. It was home to over 12,000 colonists, Castari and Terran alike, cohabiting in fragile political harmony. If this data was correct, that balance would be obliterated. Ryan's fingers flew across the controls. Open priority channel to Halion Central Command. A few seconds passed before a blue-tinted figure filled the screen. A Castari male with luminous, silver eyes and crystalline skin stared back at him with practiced indifference. Identify yourself. Ryan Vance, independent prospector. I've identified a rogue asteroid on collision course with your colony. Impact in less than 2 days. I'm transmitting the data now. The Castari tilted his head, blinking slowly. Our planetary monitors show no such object, Mr. Vance. Because it slipped through the outer belt's blind zone, Ryan insisted. Sending the enhanced trajectory readings. I triple-checked this. If you don't act now, there will be nothing left of Halion 4. We will review your report in accordance with established protocol. Halion command out. The connection severed. Ryan's hands balled into fists. Bureaucrats! He slammed his palm on the control panel. They're going to let it happen, he muttered. There was no time to wait for their review. He couldn't ignore it even if no one believed him. Plot a course for Halion, he ordered the AI. Max thrust. Warning, this vessel is not rated for atmospheric, insertion or asteroid deflection operations. I know, Ryan snapped. Do it anyway. The Wayfarer's aging thrusters howled in protest as Ryan pushed the limits of its drive systems. The ship vibrated with tension, every bolt and weld whispering warnings, but he didn't dare ease off the acceleration. Time was not on their side. Halion 4 loomed ahead, a swirling orb of dusky clouds and pearlescent oceans. The Castari colony rested on the continent of Verith, a stunning landscape of high cliffs and crystalline forests, all soon to be pulverized if that asteroid struck. Ryan checked the trajectory again. 43 hours. The asteroid was moving, faster than expected, likely picking up gravitational momentum from a nearby planetoid. His stomach turned at the realization. They had even less time than he thought. The Wayfarer dropped into low orbit, the AI stabilizing their descent as the mining ship screamed through the upper atmosphere. Sparks peeled away from the hull. Initiating emergency landing protocol, the AI said. Override. Bring us down on manual, Ryan barked. Manual override acknowledged. Please don't crash. Ryan smirked at the AI's dry tone, but his hands were steady as he guided the ship down through the clouds, setting course for the outer edge of Verith's capital district. The vessel touched down on a maintenance pad with a thud, kicking up dust and shimmering debris. Lights from nearby towers flickered at the disturbance, but no emergency crews came running. No one expected him. No one cared. Not yet. He leapt from the hatch and strode toward the central coordination nexus, passing Castari citizens who eyed him with cool suspicion. Though the Terran-Castari alliance had survived 2 decades, cultural wounds still lingered. Humans were still seen as reckless, loud, and disruptive. Ryan couldn't afford to care. A tall Kastari guard barred his way at the Nexus gate, crystalline armor gleaming under the twin suns. "Human entry restricted to scheduled visitors," the guard said, voice calm but firm. "I have urgent data regarding a planetary threat," Ryan said, stepping forward. "Protocol requires appointment clearance," the guard replied. "I'm not leaving until I speak to someone who can evacuate the colony," Ryan shouted, losing patience. "Stand. Down, both of you," came a sharp voice. A woman descended the polished steps behind the gate. She was Kastari, but different. Her skin had a faint violet hue, and where most Kastari wore ceremonial robes, she wore a fitted black uniform marked with scientific sigils. Her silver eyes met Ryan's without disdain, only curiosity. "I'm Taylor. Chorus," she said, stopping a few feet from him. "Astrophysical Division, what threat are you referring to?" Ryan lowered his voice. "A rogue asteroid, 1.8 kilometers wide. Impact estimated in less than 43 hours. I tried to warn your command center, but they dismissed you," she finished, her tone sharpening. He nodded grimly. "The scans. Don't lie." Taylor turned to the guard. "Let him through." The guard hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come with me," she said. "If you're right, we'll have to act fast. And if you're wrong..." Her gaze flicked to his ship on the horizon. "You'll answer for the panic." Ryan followed her inside, heart pounding. He didn't care what price he paid later. If he could stop the destruction before it began, it would be worth it. But he already had the sense that what was coming would be far more than just an asteroid. The interior of the Nexus shimmered with reflective light, the walls embedded with Kastari crystal matrices that pulsed with ambient energy. Ryan had never seen anything like it, like walking inside a cathedral made of living glass. Every step echoed not just sound, but something deeper, resonant. Taylor led him through a corridor lined with projection arrays displaying star charts, energy patterns, and simulations of Kastari colonial expansion. She tapped a panel beside an iris-shaped door, which opened with a quiet hiss into a darkened observatory chamber. Dozens of holoscreens hovered above the floor in a circular array. "Project your data," she said. Ryan didn't hesitate. He removed the compact drive from his wrist console and fed it into the room's central node. A three-dimensional model of the asteroid burst to life above them, angular, spinning, with trails of debris spiraling behind it. The calculated impact zone glowed, red on Halion 4's surface. Taylor's expression tightened as she rotated the model with a flick of her fingers. This came through the Kepler rift." "Yes," Ryan said. "A blind spot, one your systems apparently don't monitor closely." Her jaw clenched. "Because nothing has ever emerged from the rift. It's a null vector. We assumed it was empty space." "Well, it's not anymore." She ran the simulations again, fast-forwarding and adjusting angles. The red impact cone never wavered. The math didn't lie. "This will annihilate Vareth," she whispered. Ryan nodded. "And every living thing in a 100-kilometer radius." Taylor turned to him, her violet skin faintly flushed with agitation. "I'll take this to the Strategic Council myself. They'll have to listen." "They already dismissed me once," Ryan said. "They won't ignore me," she replied firmly. "My mother sits on the council." He blinked. "Your mother?" Taylor nodded. "I'm not just a scientist. I'm Taylor Corres Venari. My family helped draft the colonization treaty. I can get them moving." Before Ryan could reply, the floor shuddered beneath them. A low vibration passed through the chamber, like thunder rippling through water. "What was that?" he asked. Taylor turned to the console and activated seismic monitors. "Atmospheric disruption. Debris fragments entered the upper sky. Already." Ryan stepped closer to the display. "That's too soon. It's accelerating." She stared at the screen, her expression darkening. "This isn't just a drifting rock, someone pushed it." Ryan blinked. "You think this was deliberate?" "I don't know yet," she said, but her voice had lost all doubt. "But I intend to find out." Just then a chime rang from her communicator. She answered it quickly, and a distorted voice filtered through. "Taylor, it's Saren. Your data checks out. It's real, but there's more. We traced an anomalous energy surge near the asteroid's path. Artificial. Definitely not natural drift." Ryan's blood turned cold. Taylor ended the call and looked at him with a new kind of fear in her eyes. "You were right to come," she said. "But now it's worse than we thought. A threat from deep space was one thing. But sabotage? Weaponization? This was war." Ryan followed Taylor into a lift that ascended through the Nexus core, glass panels revealing the skyline of Verith beneath a marbled sky. Towering spires glimmered in the afternoon light, their surfaces alive with shifting geometric patterns, Kastari design at its finest, and all of it was in mortal danger. "I don't understand," Ryan said as the lift ascended. "If someone did this on purpose, who would benefit from wiping out your colony?" Taylor didn't answer immediately. Her gaze was distant, locked on the shimmering towers as if seeing them for the last time. "There are factions within the Council," she said finally. "Extremists who believe the Terran Alliance weakens us. There are even rumors of secret war syndicates, those who profit from destabilization and forced evacuation. Someone willing to sacrifice 12,000 people just to shift power?" he asked, sickened. She turned to him. "You're Terran, don't tell me that surprises you." He held her gaze. "Doesn't mean I accept it." The lift stopped at the summit level, a wide chamber with stained glass skylights and a circular table around, which the Council of 9 usually gathered. But today only 4 occupied their seats. The rest, Taylor muttered, had likely fled to underground bunkers, following outdated drills that would do nothing against an asteroid. Her mother stood as they entered. Elder Venari was tall, even by Kastari standards, her skin a brilliant silver white, her robe woven with actual threads of charged crystal. Her expression hardened at the sight of Ryan. "Taylor," she said coldly, "you bring an off-worlder to our crisis chamber?" "He's the reason you're still alive," Taylor replied. "And the one who identified the threat your sensors failed to see." Ryan stepped forward. "I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to evacuate your people before it's too late." Elder Venari folded her arms. "We've seen your scans, and we've confirmed a fragment already entered the atmosphere. But orbital. Defense is being prepared. Our engineers believe a missile salvo can destroy the object before impact." Ryan's blood chilled. "You don't understand. This thing isn't a standard asteroid. It's reinforced with metallic compounds. That's why it survived the Kepler rift." One of the seated counselors, a narrow-faced male with dark crystal veins branching across his cheeks, leaned forward. "You're saying it was modified? Deliberately guided?" Ryan said, "This isn't just a rock," Taylor said. "It's a weapon." A low murmur spread through the chamber. Taylor's mother raised a hand for silence, but her eyes betrayed worry. "And who do you accuse her?" she asked. "You say this was intentional, but by whom?" "I don't know," Ryan admitted. "But if we waste time pointing fingers, there won't be anyone left to blame." Taylor stepped beside him. "We need to begin evacuation now, not tomorrow, now." The chamber fell silent again until another tremor rocked the structure, far stronger than before. Dust fell from the arched ceiling. One of the stained glass skylights cracked. An alert chimed through the council chamber. "Debris cluster has entered low orbit," a synthetic voice said. "Projected impact in 32 hours. Ryan turned to Venari. "You still think you have time?" She stared at him, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke. "You'll have your evacuation order. But know this, Terran. If you're wrong, you've disrupted a society for nothing." "I hope I am," Ryan said. "But no, I'm not." And deep in his gut, he knew this asteroid was just the opening move. The evacuation order passed through Verith systems within the hour, and like a dam finally cracking, the city erupted into motion. Hollow alerts blared from crystal pillars, flashing red with evacuation routes and transport assignments. Crowds formed instantly. Kastari families clutching children, elders carrying woven heirlooms, Terran settlers packing crates of salvage tech and data cores. Ryan watched it unfold, From the Nexus balcony, a grim satisfaction churning beneath his anxiety, he turned to Taylor, who stood beside him, issuing coordination commands through her palm unit. "This buys time," he said, "but it won't stop what's coming." Taylor nodded, fingers still moving across her wrist module. "I've ordered evacuation centers to prioritize off-world transit, but the orbital shuttles weren't designed for this scale. We'll be moving people for hours, maybe days." "We don't have days." "No," she said softly. "We don't." Below them, Kastari skycraft, sharp, lotus-shaped vessels powered by magnetogravitic drives, lifted into the air, carrying colonists skyward in waves. Between them, sleek Terran landers slipped through airspace like insects caught in a storm. Ryan's ship, Wayfarer, sat nestled between two fusion towers at the city's edge. He'd spent hours rewiring its ancient systems to handle atmospheric instability. It wasn't designed for refugees, but it could carry a few dozen, maybe more. "I'm going to help load evacuees," he said. "I'll come with you," Taylor said immediately. He raised an eyebrow. "You sure? You've got command authority here." She hesitated. "Authority isn't much if no one survives to follow it." They descended to the plaza, weaving through surging lines of evacuees. Panic hovered just beneath the surface, Kastari trying to appear composed, Terrans already shouting, guards trying to maintain order with calming gestures and verbal commands. It reminded Ryan of Mars Colony Delta during the electrical grid failure of 2239. Desperate people could become dangerous in seconds. As they neared the Wayfarer, a small crowd of Kastari approached, led by a silvery adolescent gripping an elder's hand. "We heard you're taking passengers," the elder said. "Please, my family." "I can take 15, Ryan said. "Maximum. Weight distribution's already tight." "Then take the children," she said. "We'll wait for the next one." Ryan opened the ramp quickly. Inside, Taylor helped usher them in, whispering calming words in her native tongue. The children were quiet, their crystalline eyes wide with wonder and fear. Suddenly, a blast of light split the sky. Both Ryan and Taylor looked up in horror. A chunk of the asteroid's debris field had breached the upper atmosphere, flaring like a small sun as it tore through the clouds. The ground trembled. It struck somewhere far to the north, beyond the cliffs of Cavern, but the impact flash was visible even from Verith. A distant rumble reached them moments later, like the groan of a dying world. Ryan turned to Taylor. That wasn't part of the original trajectory. She was already accessing her comms. That impact wasn't random. It hit Sector 9's comm relay. That was our off-world signal uplink. Ryan's mouth went dry. "They're trying to cut off communication. This confirms it," she said, face pale with fury. "Someone wants Hallian 4 to vanish. No survivors, no records." The war had just begun. The plaza was no longer just a gathering point. It was a battlefield of urgency. As the smoke from the northern impact thinned on the horizon, Ryan could feel the shift. Hope was still present, but it was now laced with a growing terror. Refugees moved faster, less composed. The Kastari guards tightened their formations around the docking areas. Emergency beacons pulsed with red desperation. "They're going to target the ships," Ryan muttered, scanning the sky. Taylor's voice was low. "If the relay's gone, our outbound distress calls are useless. No reinforcements, no automated rescue fleets, just us." Ryan touched her arm. "Then we defend what we can." They climbed the loading ramp into Wayfarer, where the children sat clustered around a stasis heater, watching the adults prepare for launch. Ryan sealed the hatch. "AI," he barked. "Scan for approaching vessels." The console lit up. "One incoming craft detected. Velocity suggests atmospheric breach within 5 minutes." Taylor leaned over his shoulder. "Can you identify it?" The AI's voice grew tense. "Vessel configuration unknown, not Kastari, not Terran, unregistered origin." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "That's no rescue ship." Outside, Verith's last defensive towers ignited their shields, lines of sapphire energy stretching skyward. The shields were beautiful, elegant, and too thin to matter. Ryan had seen planetary defenses like these fail before, once on Hyrax 3 and again during the moon siege. "Strap in," he ordered the passengers. "Everyone now." He and Taylor moved to the cockpit. She slid into the co-pilot seat and synced her interface with his ship systems. "I've uploaded our evac route to the outer belt," she said. "There's a hollow cluster of debris we can use for cover if we get out fast enough." A blip on the screen grew larger. The unidentified ship tore through the upper atmosphere, trailing fire. Then it opened fire. Plasma lanced through the sky, vaporizing one of the nearby Kastari skiffs. The explosion lit up the airfield in crimson arcs. Screams followed. Ground patrols fired back, but their weapons barely scratched the attackers. "Shields. They're using prototype stealth armor," Taylor said, shocked. "No one outside Council Development Lab should even have that." "Someone does now," Ryan growled, flipping switches on his console. "Time to see if Wayfarer has one more trick." He'd modified the ship years ago during a black market haul through the Thessal Reach. Smugglers didn't fly without defenses. He activated the concealed turret array beneath the hull, twin plasma rails unfolding like steel wings. "Taylor, lock our heading on escape vector," he barked. "Get us clear." As they launched, the children screamed inside the cargo bay, the inertia dampeners straining to compensate for the sudden thrust. The enemy ship wheeled to follow. More plasma bolts scorched past them, one grazing the engine housing. The ship rattled violently. "Return fire," she yelled. Ryan squeezed the trigger. Twin plasma bolts soared back at their attacker, striking just below the cockpit. The hostile vessel dipped for a split second, but its shields held. "They're trying to force us back down," Taylor said, eyes narrowing. "But they don't know me." Ryan gave her a sidelong glance as she tapped a command into the AI. "What are you doing?" "Giving us cover." Behind them, as Wayfarer raced higher, the city of Verith burst into coordinated defense. Taylor had triggered an emergency failsafe, the auto-triggered detonation of nearby fusion cores. Fire climbed the towers like vengeful fingers. The shockwave disrupted local gravity, jamming tracking systems. The enemy ship veered wildly off course. "That was risky," Ryan said, voice tight. "But it worked," Taylor replied grimly. The stars spread before them as Wayfarer broke free of Halion 4's atmosphere. Below them, Verith burned. The stars above were a silent cathedral as Wayfarer coasted through low orbit, the surface of Halion, shrinking beneath them, a scorched sphere of glowing red cracks and dissipating clouds. From here, Verith was a smoldering wound, and yet it was only the beginning. Ryan guided the vessel into the asteroid belt surrounding the Kepler rift, his hand steady on the controls though his chest ached with unspoken guilt. Taylor leaned forward in the co-pilot seat, studying the scanners. "I've lost contact with the eastern colonies," she said quietly, "and there's no response from the orbital stations. I think the entire planetary grid has collapsed. Then we're on our own." A grim silence settled between them. Behind them, in the modified cargo hold, the rescued children and elders huddled in makeshift seats, unaware of how close they'd come to dying. How many did we save?" Ryan finally asked. Taylor tapped the manifest. 27 passengers aboard. My people estimate fewer than 2,000 off-world before the shield collapsed. Out of 12,000. She didn't answer. They drifted in silence for another minute. The hum of the engines low and smooth now that they'd slipped into the belt's gravitational pockets. The belt was thick here, clumps of jagged stone and ancient debris from long-forgotten planetary collisions. It was a graveyard of rock, and Ryan knew it well. He set a slow vector for a denser region, activating stealth mode. Wayfarer's heat signature would drop, and its reflective hull would blend with the surrounding space. As long as they kept their engines low, they might not be seen. Taylor rose and moved toward the back. "I'm going to check on the passengers." Ryan nodded, eyes still fixed on the scanners. In the cargo hold, the atmosphere was tense. The stasis heater hummed, its blue light soft against the metallic walls. Children dozed, exhausted. The elder woman who had first pleaded for rescue sat with her back against the hull, her hand gently resting on her granddaughter's head. Taylor knelt beside her. They're safe now, the woman said quietly. But what about the rest? Taylor swallowed. We'll do what we can. We're not finished. The woman gave a tired nod. You sound like your father. Taylor blinked. You knew him? He saved us once, long ago. Back when the council still believed in unity. Taylor offered a faint smile, then turned as the AI's voice echoed from the ship's main corridor. Captain. Unidentified signal detected. She rushed back to the cockpit. Ryan was already pulling up the data. What is it? A repeating pulse, he said. Encrypted. Old frequency. Council-class encryption, Taylor said, eyes narrowing. But not active anymore. That code was retired after the civil fracture. So who's using it now? Ryan enhanced the signal, isolating the source. It was weak, buried behind asteroid interference. But there, a beacon hidden near the edge of the rift. He looked at her. You think it's survivors? I think it's someone who doesn't want to be found. Ryan leaned back. Then let's go find them. As he redirected the ship toward the unknown signal, a deep sense of unease settled over him. Because in the Kepler rift, secrets didn't just hide, they waited. The Wayfarer glided through the shifting shadows of the Kepler rift, its hull brushing silence as the ship skirted dangerously close to spinning debris. Ryan adjusted the course in small, precise intervals, threading the vessel between jagged rocks the size of city blocks. This was his domain. Chaos cloaked in darkness. Signal is getting stronger, Taylor said, her voice low. Repeating every 16 seconds, same frequency. Definitely not a distress beacon, Ryan muttered. It's too clean, too rhythmic. Maybe it's a rendezvous code, she offered, or a trap. She gave him a sideways glance. You always assume the worst? Only when it keeps people alive. A faint chime from the console signaled proximity. Ryan activated the external feed, casting the surrounding area on the cockpit display. The asteroid field here thinned slightly, revealing a small structure nestled between two massive stones, an artificial construct unmistakably Castari. Its surface was coated in debris camouflage, but now that they were close, it couldn't hide. Looks abandoned, he said. No, Taylor corrected. It's shielded. Look at the energy signature. He checked the readings. She was right. Beneath the rocky exterior, there was a low-grade energy pulse just strong enough to maintain atmosphere and life support. Someone was definitely home. Ryan brought the Wayfarer in slowly, landing on a narrow ledge barely wide enough to support the ship's landing. Strutz. As they touched down, the beacon went silent. I don't like that, Ryan said, already rising from his chair. Taylor was already moving toward the equipment rack. Suit up. This place was designed for null grav zones. We'll need tethers and magnetic boots. You ever done EVA entry before? She grabbed a compression rifle from the rack and met his gaze. You forget I trained on the border moons. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Didn't figure royalty for combat certification. I didn't figure Terran miners for prophecy fulfillment either. She shot back with a smirk. They cycled through the airlock and emerged into the vacuum, tethered together by a thin fiber cord. Ryan led the way, magnetized boots clinking faintly against the metal as they crossed the asteroid's jagged face toward the outpost's only visible entry hatch. The panel blinked to life at their approach. That's not standard tech, Ryan said. It recognized us, Taylor added darkly. Or one of us. The door hissed open. Inside was dim, pressurized, lit only by pulsing floor lights. The scent of ionized metal and old circuitry hit them immediately. They stepped inside. The hatch sealed behind them with a finality that made Ryan's gut twist. He reached for his weapon. The chamber before them was circular, covered in ancient glyphs, Castari, but older, rooted in an era before the colonization fleets. At the center of the room stood a single figure, wrapped in a dark cloak with a face obscured by a crystalline veil. Finally, the figure said in perfect Terran, You've arrived. Taylor froze. Who are you? The figure tilted its head. Someone who's waited centuries for this moment. Ryan aimed his weapon. Try making sense. We're not here for riddles. I know why you're here, the figure said. Because fate doesn't wait for permission. The Accord is awakening and the bond has begun. Taylor stepped forward. What do you mean the Accord? The figure raised a hand and suddenly the chamber pulsed. Light streamed from the glyphs, bathing them in violet fire. Images formed around them, stars, battles, ancient Kastari ships rising from oceans of light. And then one more. A human and Kastari female, hands linked, surrounded by energy. The vision burned itself into their minds. Because the last Accord failed, the figure said. And now you two must become the next. Ryan kept his weapon raised, his finger tight against the trigger. The chamber's eerie glow pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, each glyph casting otherworldly shadows on the walls. Taylor stood motionless beside him, her violet skin faintly shimmering in the alien light. The figure before them hadn't moved. Start explaining, Ryan growled. What do you mean, the next Accord? The veiled figure slowly lowered its hood, revealing a face both ageless and uncanny. Not quite Kastari, not quite Terran, features blended. Smooth lavender skin, faint angular ridges along the temples, and silver eyes glowing softly with bioluminescent energy. I am Lizari, the figure said. Once a keeper of the first Accord, the last living hybrid of the Convergence, a relic of what came before. Taylor's voice trembled with restraint. The Accord is a myth, a story they tell initiates at the university. Lizari offered a thin smile. The truth always becomes myth after enough blood has buried it. She turned slowly, gesturing to the walls. The glyphs responded, lighting in sequence, images forming and dissolving in the air. A war, a great exodus, the collapse of unity between species. After the Accord fractured long ago, Lizari said, our kind and yours were bound not by politics but by resonance. A shared perception of energy, a sight that allowed us to feel the life threads of others. And in moments of alignment, to see the weave of fate itself. Ryan exchanged a glance with Taylor. The triadic bond, he murmured. Lizari's eyes glinted. You've experienced it, haven't you? At the edge of death, in the moment of union. Ryan stiffened. It wasn't by choice, but it was real. Taylor stepped forward, her hands at her sides. Why us? Because the pattern repeats always. And in every cycle, a pair emerges who can restore the Accord, or doom it forever. Is that why Helion 4 was attacked? She asked. Lizari nodded. Vexer, your enemy. He is not a mere traitor. He was one of us, a bonded child born of both worlds, raised in secret. But the Accord failed him, left him to madness and exile. Ryan lowered his weapon slightly. So now he wants revenge? No, Lizari said. He wants dominance. He believes the Accord made us weak, dependent on balance. He intends to reshape the bond, strip it of connection, and leave only power. Taylor turned sharply. Then that asteroid, he controlled it? Lizari nodded. Yes, the debris was guided by his will, twisted by psionic manipulation, and he will not stop until the Accord is wiped from memory, until every trace is gone, including both of you. Ryan clenched his jaw. Then why tell us all this? Why hide in a rock in the rift? Because I was waiting for you, Lizari said, stepping closer. Your bond is forming. The energy signature of your union triggered the beacon. Only those touched by the Accord can enter the sanctuary. Only you can finish what I could not. Taylor's brow furrowed. And how do we do that? Lizari extended a hand. You come with me deeper into the vault. You learn what the Accord truly is, and then you decide whether to restore it or end it. Ryan hesitated, staring at the glowing walls and the strange hybrid standing in the center of this forgotten chamber. Why do I feel like either choice is going to get us killed? He muttered. Taylor's voice was quiet but firm. Because either choice changes everything, and together they stepped deeper into the past. The corridor beneath the chamber spiraled downward, carved from raw asteroid stone but veined with glowing strands of silver crystal. The deeper they went, the warmer the air grew, thick with old power and silence that pressed against their skulls. Ryan's boots echoed with each step, the metallic treads biting into the strange flooring. The further they descended, the more he felt it. That subtle pull at the edge of his consciousness, like something was brushing his mind with invisible fingers. "What is this place?" he whispered. Lissari led the way with ease. The core vault, built by the first bonded, a sanctuary of memory and resonance. Here the Accord's true teachings are preserved. Taylor moved beside Ryan, her posture tense but focused. Why was this kept secret? Why not share it with the rest of the colonies? Lissari's voice was heavy. Because the Accord became dangerous when misused. There were those who sought to weaponize the bond. The vault was hidden during the collapse, sealed to all but those whose connection echoes through the past. The corridor opened into a vast dome of light. They stepped into the vault's heart, an enormous crystalline chamber lined with reflective surfaces that showed not just reflections, but memories. Ryan blinked as he watched a younger Lissari training in a silver uniform, hands glowing with blue energy as she joined her mind with another's. The image shimmered and shifted, two people soaring through space in unity, guiding a vessel with only their shared will. Then it flickered again. Explosions, betrayal, and Lissari alone in darkness. These are echoes of the Accord, Lissari said softly. What it once was. What it can be again. Taylor stepped closer to a crystalline spire in the center of the chamber. It pulsed in time with her breath. Ryan watched, startled, as the structure responded to her presence. Glyphs lit up in waves around her, forming patterns he didn't recognize but which felt familiar.